Then they fly over a scene of redneck.
Yes.
Which, you know what? I can't say I wouldn't be doing this.
Oh, right.
Drinking beer and shooting zombies? That sounds like the American dream.
Oh, yeah. Perfect target practice.
Night of the Horror. You're all invited.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I'm not licking your butthole.
I didn't ask.
You did.
I did not.
We were talking about enemas and you said lick my butthole.
No. I was talking about it would suck to get an enema. I didn't say I wanted you to lick my butthole.
You said. You said lick my butthole.
Oh my God. Welcome to Night of the Horror File. I'm Lee.
I'm Brittany.
Yeah, that's who?
None of your business.
What's your name?
Brittany.
Vitney?
Vitney.
I'm Vitney. Is that even a name? Is Vitney a name?
Probably not.
Oh, well. Anyway. Thanks for tuning in. If you're just listening with us, just starting out, we're a podcast who takes classic and new horror movies, and we just kind of break them down and talk about them. And we also throw in stoner jokes, so there's that. So, what do we watch?
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead. 1978's Dawn of the Dead. And like with every show, I should probably start out with a spiel about how this was made a little bit before we get into it.
Because if you don't get it out now, you do it in the middle and I just get pissed off.
I know, and I just keep interrupting you. So let's do that now, shall we? So anyway, Dawn of the Dead was the brainchild of George A. Romero, who most people know. George A. Romero is the godfather of the modern zombie movie. He gave us, before this, he gave us Night of the Living Dead, and then out of nowhere, in 1978, he comes with Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, so Night of the Living Dead is the first one?
Right, because technically there's 3 in this sequel, or there's actually 6 technically if you count the 3 later movies that came, but we're just talking about the 3 for right now.
Okay.
No, it started with Night of the Living Dead, then we hit Dawn of the Dead, then we hit Day of the Dead. And those are like the holy trinity of zombie movies. And I'm so shocked that you had never seen these.
I haven't seen anything.
But these especially since you're a fan of The Walking Dead and Shaun of the Dead and all those movies that kind of leached this movie a little bit in a good way. I mean, all those shows and movies that came afterwards really took George A. Romero's outline and ran with it, which is a good thing because I don't like to say that people stole the modern zombie, but I gotta give credit to George A. Romero for inventing it. Because before Night of the Living Dead, I mean, you had White Zombie, and just mostly zombies were just mindless slaves that kind of just did their master's bidding. That was mostly what you saw, was the classic voodoo zombie. And then
that's kind of like that movie that we watched. Never mind. Go on. I'm sorry.
No, what movie you were thinking about?
I can't remember Fido? Yes.
Fido a little bit. Yeah. But think about like old time voodoo zombies is what more or less I was talking about, where somebody was controlling people and stuff like that. That's mostly what you saw before Night of the Living Dead. And which we will cover that movie eventually. I just wanted to get to this one, Dawn of the Dead, because I feel like you've seen stuff that it has influenced.
Yes.
And so it's just easier to talk about. So George A. Romero got the idea for this by touring the Monroe Mall with one of his friends who kind of like offhandedly mentioned that, you know, people could survive and wait out a disaster by hiding in the mall. And that got him kind of thinking. So he went back and started writing with Rubenstein, his producer, and he came up with what we saw, Dawn of the Dead. Now, that's not saying it was easy to get up off the ground. I mean, sure, Night of the Living Dead had came out and had broken new ground in this subgenre of horror movies, but he was having trouble getting some financing and stuff. So here comes along our good friend Dario Argento, who he really loved the first movie. He liked George A. Romero. They got along real well. I think he's even quoted as saying he was just a wonderful person. And so Dario Argento helped secure most of the financing for exchange for the international distributing rights. With that came along Goblin, our good friend, and they did most of the music in this movie. Now, here's where I brought up the international stuff, because there are several different versions of this. There's the one we saw, which is theatrical cut. Now, I prefer that one, even though I'm sure people are going to be like, oh, you don't like the full Argento cut? No, not really, because Romero always said that the 127-minute theatrical cut was his vision of the movie. That's what he wanted. So I go with that one, just because I feel like if that's what Romero wanted me to see, then I'm going to watch that. Now, I have seen the other ones, and they're just as good. Argento's cut is really good, but it took away the humor. And most of the stock music that we hear, which I'll explain where the stock music is later on in certain scenes. That way you get the idea. But he took that away and put back in the complete Goblin soundtrack, which Romero was not very impressed with Goblin. So he only kept certain tracks inside the movie, which, the main theme, that's Goblin. You can definitely tell what is Goblin and what's not. Right. It's not hard, because most of the other music, he just inserted old stock music, like stock footage music. So, and this movie had a budget of $1.5 million. And its box office raked in with, I believe, the international and the domestic. It raked in about $55 million.
Oh, that's awesome.
Huge profit.
Yeah.
So like I said, I chose this one so you could kind of get the feel of where zombie movies, like most of the stuff takes their inspiration from this, and I kind of wanted you to feel that. So that's why I chose it?
Yeah, I definitely did see that, yeah.
So had you heard anything about this movie before we went into it?
No.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing?
I mean, people are like, I like Dawn of the Dead, but...
Right, because, out of the three, this is the most popular with people.
Right.
My favorite is Day of the Dead, which that's another one we'll cover, but I like that one for certain reasons. I love all of them. Even the later sequels that no one seems to really care for. But, so... let's go ahead and get into it.
Let's do it. So, something we seem to have a problem with is the character names when we're starting out.
To me, this wasn't so bad, but maybe it's because I've seen this movie 1,000 times.
Right. But instead of stumbling over names, I wrote them down.
I know, we wrote them down.
I did my homework.
We're getting better here on the show.
So, Francine is the female, obviously.
Correct.
Then you have Steven, which is Francine's boyfriend. And then you have Roger, which is Steven's friend. Mm-hmm. And Peter, which he kind of meets Roger and goes along with all of them.
Right. And Peter...
he's kind of a badass.
Yeah. Peter, Ken Foree's character, gets all the awesome lines, and he's the badass of the picture. Mm-hmm. Now, with the 4 survivors, you do have one represents each thing, and we'll get into that as we go. To me, this is just my reading again. You know how I am; I read into shit. But so we'll touch on that as we go along.
So the movie starts off, and it's Francine. I wrote Fran through most of this, so that's what I'm going to call her.
It's all good, just as long as we have a name.
Right. So, Fran's in this newsroom, and people are running around.
Right.
There's a, debate going on.
Yeah, it's we're dropped in the middle of the shit, which I love.
Right.
Because you'll notice throughout this entire movie, Romero takes these quick cuts with every scene. And that he did that as an editing tool. So he would shoot an ass ton of footage with these quick succession cuts to where in the editing room, he would have so much footage to work with that he could retool it in these different cuts and stuff and piece scenes together kind of like a puzzle just to make a mood at the end.
Oh,
so
okay.
when we're dropped into this newsroom, and I'm assuming it is a newsroom.
Right.
Which, by the way, Romero's at the controls. Did you see him? I don't think you've ever seen George A. Romero.
No.
Well, he's in the control room.
Oh, okay.
I'll point him out next time. But so we're dropped in the middle of this shit. Francine is seeing everybody freak out. She has this kind of moral commitment. She feels that she needs to report the news and get the word out to where people can go to shelters and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, but they're talking about these rescue stations that people should be going to, but some of those rescue stations are closed down.
Right. And go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, because she doesn't want, because they're saying I guess they're like labeling off the names and stuff of these rescue stations, but those places are closed down. And she's saying, it's dangerous.
Right, to send people there. And she wants to report the accurate news, which
right.
I don't disagree.
No, it's kind of nice, especially living in today where I don't know what's accurate or what's not.
Right.
I get my news from Ben Kissel. Abe Lincoln's Top Hat. Go listen to that. But yeah, so we're dropped in the middle of this shit.
Right. So there's two like news reporter guys. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming
one is the news reporter, I believe, and the other is from the State Department, I believe is what it is. And he's trying to calm people down and stuff like that and telling them they need to give up their dead and all this kind of stuff. And it's crazy because no one wants to believe what's going on at this moment. So that's kind of why they're arguing.
Yes. And they're talking about they're dead people and they're returning back to life and attacking the living. They kill for food and eat their victims, which makes them not cannibals.
Yeah.
Because people were asking if they were cannibals, and they said no, because they're not eating each other.
Right.
And the way to kill them is to destroy the brain or sever the head from the body, which is very typical of every zombie thing I've ever watched.
Right, and that kind of comes from this.
I would assume, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the rules of modern zombies and stuff come from these films, which, like I said, it's neat for you to watch them and realize what's going on and stuff.
Right. So then we meet Steven. And he's going up to Fran and saying, we're leaving at midnight. Meet me on the roof.
Right, because his plan is to take the news chopper and get them the fuck out of Dodge to head to Canada. Now, that's the original plan.
Right.
He's going to pick up his friend, Roger, on the way. He doesn't mention Roger yet, but we do meet Roger here in a little bit.
Well, we meet Roger right now.
Right. Again, it's these quick cuts, man. The action does not stop.
Right. So Roger and his SWAT team, fleet of policemen.
Yeah, it's a SWAT team, and what they're doing here is they've surrounded this a tenement building. It's a low income tenement building.
That explains why that guy was like
shooting out
and mad.
Yeah, if you notice in this movie, like when someone's the only one guy uses the racial slurs and stuff like that. And he's the one that gets got later. If you notice in this movie, there's a lot of like social satire. There's a ton of that. And Romero was fucking expert at mixing those together to where it didn't feel strongly one way or the other. He would mix his horror with his social commentary. And that's what made his movies so good.
No, I really liked it. The comedy backdrop.
Yeah, it's parts are humorous and then parts are real somber. And it's just a lot of mixed emotions.
Right. But makes one great movie.
Right.
So they're raiding, and the racist guy is just shooting whoever the fuck he wants to shoot.
Yeah, this is where he freaks out and starts like fucking killing everybody because he hates, people.
Yeah, and then some dude in the back just shoots him.
Right. We see
Right in
this
the head.
tall figure with a mask on.
Oh, yeah, he had a gas mask.
A gas mask on. And he shoots. This guy's name is Wooly, by the way.
Wooly?
Wooly.
Oh, the racist guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
His name is Wooly. Sorry, I always found that funny. But yeah, the guy in the back shoots Wooly, and Peter, seeing all this violence and stuff that's been going on, it's starting to get to him, and they go into the room because when the dude shoots Wooly, he had just busted down this door and blew this guy's fucking head completely off. And
they bust down the door. He shoots Wooly, and then this is your first sight of zombies.
Right. And what did you think about the zombies?
Oh my god.
Now at the time, these were
I know.
These were scary to people, and I see why you would find them funny because of what you've seen. But so originally, Romero's idea was because A Night of the Living Dead was in black and white, which don't see the colored version. I know everybody's like, oh, the colored version's so much better. No, it's terrible. It ruins the mood. But since Night of the Living Dead was in black and white, he decided he wanted to paint the zombies gray to give them that same kind of feel.
Okay.
Because I'm sure he wanted it to be kind of like a continuity thing. And he said that was probably a bad idea because on film, the gray paint that they used looks blue.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah. So he kind of thought against that later on. And by the way, okay, so you're getting through this raid, man, you're getting the complete load of the special effects that await us throughout this movie.
Oh, yeah.
You're getting people getting bit in the neck, which is a great scene where that lady gets bit.
That was the first biting that you see in the movie. Right. Oh my god.
It was good. It looked great.
Oh, it did.
So Tom Savini, our good friend Tom Savini, worked on this movie. And this was one of his first biggest projects with Romero, who had actually offered Savini the role of special effects in Night of the Living Dead, but Savini had been drafted into Vietnam, so he didn't get to do that. But so this was his first big project with Romero. Now, Savini had already been doing special effects, obviously, beforehand, but this was his breakout with Romero, and you can see the Savini all over this fucking movie. Because if you watch that old Romero flick, Night of the Living Dead, it's completely different from this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The gore effects and stuff like that. The gore is cranked up to 1,000,000 times in this one.
Oh, yeah.
So Savini wanted to use the 3M blood, which was a more realistic blood at the time, but Romero chose to go with our good friend Argento blood. Remember from Suspiria, that bright fluorescent red?
Yes.
He chose to go with that because he thought it kept the movie's kind of comic book look to it. Because if you think about this movie, it is almost like a comic serial, the way it's colored and shot and stuff. It's really good.
Yeah. I didn't mind the paint red blood in this one.
Did you not mind it in Suspiria?
Well, at first I did, but this was the first experience with that.
Right, because you haven't seen these kind of movies, so you don't know about that kind of blood they used.
Right.
Which I love that type of blood for these older movies because I feel like, yeah, sure, it looks fake, but something about that fluorescent red kind of bright blood is just pleasing. I don't know why, but... So Roger sees one of his fellow officers shoot himself in the head because of all the carnage that's going down.
Yeah, he just can't take it.
Right. Because, they're raiding this building to get people out to try to get them to safety because everybody's refusing to leave this tenement housing because God knows why. But they're refusing to leave, so they're going in there to get them out to take them to the shelters. But in the chaos, fucking Wooly went all crazy and killed a bunch. Other people are getting killed. And it's mayhem. So this cop shoots himself in the fucking head.
Man, I don't blame him.
Which, like I said, the humor and the seriousness mixed into this movie is in a perfect balance. Because
Right.
it's a serious fucking little scene where Roger sees him, how he killed himself.
Yeah.
It's just, it affects him. So that's when we get Roger going down to the, what is it? Like a sub-basement laundry room, I guess?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's a laundry room. And he goes in there and that's where he fucking barfs. And this is where we meet badass Peter.
And Peter walks in and he's got that gas mask on and he takes it off. So this is the first time you're seeing who it is. And he was like, what did he say? Something about like, sorry about that. And Roger's like, it's okay. I didn't see anything.
Yeah, because we know that Peter is the one that shot Wooly earlier.
Right.
And he's like, oh, you were in Wooly's squad. And Roger's like, I didn't see how he died. I don't know what happened.
Right.
So it's kind of like, hey, man, I'm cool. So they sit for a minute, kind of pondering and stuff. And Roger makes the, offhand comment about Steven and how, well, he doesn't say Steven, but he says, my friend has a helicopter and stuff. And it'd probably be good to run.
Yeah,
Like,
he said, I can run.
Yeah, they plan on fleeing.
And then this is where some weird priest guy comes through and he's like, just let me pass. Just let me pass. And he's coughing.
Yeah, he's saying, because he comes stumbling in, so they think he's one of the zombies.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's just this priest, and he kind of explains to them, I read those people their last rites. So whatever you do from now on, that's up to you. You do what you have to do. Basically saying it'd probably be best to go shoot them.
Right. Because, everybody's going to die anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But he says, we must stop the killing or we lose the war. And I wrote, he ain't wrong. Because the more people they kill, the more people turn into zombies. And then they have to kill those zombies.
Yeah.
And those zombies are killing people.
Right. And that's what I mean by this movie's deeper than you would think it would be.
Right.
And that's the thing, is a good Romero zombie movie doesn't just tell you about zombies and an outbreak of the undead. It also has a lot of society issues mixed in there. Like, you have racism. We've already seen racism. We've already seen like almost a social class kind of problems with this tenement housing. We've seen all this stuff in just a short amount of time already. So we're already introduced to, in a way, and this is kind of where this idea started from, in a way, the humans are worse than the zombies. The zombies are just the result.
And that's what this priest was saying, basically.
Right.
He says this is where, like, down here is where they're keeping them. So Peter and Roger walk over to, like, this corner area, I guess.
Yeah, it's a basement.
Yeah, a basement. And the zombies are there just eating body parts.
Oh, yeah. It's a zombie buffet.
Yes. And Peter just starts shooting them one by one by one.
Yeah, because that's probably the best thing you could do.
And his gun, like, jams or he runs out of bullets or something. And that's when Roger comes in and he starts helping him.
Yeah, he finishes the other ones off. But they kind of share it back and forth, about how Roger asks him, well, why would they keep them? And Peter says something about,
because they still believe there's respect in dying.
Right. So they're sharing, and that's more of that society thing. I don't know why I like this scene so much, but there's this, like, it looks like a National Guard soldier or something pokes his head in.
Yeah.
And he's like, Jesus Christ. He's just like, they must have been keeping them down here. And Peter's like, yeah. And he's like, you need any more men? And Peter's like, no. And it's just the way this National Guard guy moves is just really funny because he just, all right. He just pulls out a frame real quick.
Right.
It's just really funny to me.
And I like this scene because Peter says because they still believe there's respect in dying.
Right.
And that shows, people are still attached to their people,
Yeah.
They don't want to kill their relatives because they've turned into zombies. They don't know what they are, but I'd have a hard time with that too.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about.
Yeah. Oh, deep. Sorry. I got deep in my head there.
What so zombies. what's the first thing about zombies you've ever seen before me?
The first thing I ever saw about zombies?
Yeah, anything that has zombies in it.
I'd have to probably say Zombieland.
Is that it?
I think so.
I mean, that's a good place to start, really. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's like this, only with the humor cranked up.
No, I lied. Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead. That's an excellent place to start because that movie vamps this movie so much.
Well,
in a good way. It's a whole homage to George Romero. In fact, okay, so Simon Pegg and Nick Frost and Edgar Wright, the holy trinity of those films, when they made the movie, they sent a print over to Romero so he could see it first, because obviously that whole movie is a tribute to him. So they sent it over and stuff, and Romero talks about it in a documentary I once saw where he's talking about how the guy came with this print in a suitcase and stuff, handcuffed to him, and he ended up watching it in the theater, and he was like, I laughed my ass off the entire time. He loved it. But yeah, so
well, after seeing this, I want to watch Shaun of the Dead again.
Oh, so you can pick up, because even the Goblin soundtrack is kind of in that movie.
Oh, really?
That wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
That kind of and by the way, Goblin is like miscredited in this, and they're called the Goblins.
Dun, dun, dun. Or could it be all their name changes?
It might be. I don't know.
That might have been part of their name changes, because they did that like 6 times.
Could be.
You went on a whole spiel about it.
I know. Go see our episode on Suspiria if you want to learn more about goblins' names. Back episode plug. No, but yeah, Shaun of the Dead's not a bad place.
So, Fran, Peter, Roger, and Steven are on a dock. Steven was refueling the helicopter so they could escape.
Right, and they're like kind of accosted by these other police officers who are like asking them if they're looting the place, and then like Roger comes up and is like, "No, they're cool, man," and stuff like that. So the other cops are cool with them and stuff. One of the cops here is Joseph Pilato, and he's the one in the hat, the like stocking hat.
Oh yeah,
and he's actually in Day of the Dead too.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of interesting.
Is it the weird guy?
No, not the weird guy.
So there's this weird guy, and he's just asking them like where they're going and if they have cigarettes and stuff.
Right.
And he was like,
his face.
He's like, "We're going to the island," and they're like, "What island?" And he's like,
Any island.
Any island."
This guy is in the wrong movie. It's like all of a sudden we're kind of serious, and there's a lot of action going on and stuff like that. And our 4 survivors have just met at this dock, and they're like, and here's this guy who's like a cartoon character. He's all like whacking his gum and stuff and talking to him.
He's like, "You got any cigarettes?"
I think we were smoking the other night, but I was like, man, this is my favorite fucking character in this entire movie, because he's just like so animated,
and his eyes are like all wide.
That's what I mean. He's just so like, animated. He does not belong in this movie.
He had a Red Bull.
But yeah, so Joseph Pilato, like I said, he's in this like a little quick cameo, but then he's like the main bad guy in Day of the Dead, Captain Rhodes. But yeah, we lost him in March of 2019.
R.I.P.
I know. He's also in Wishmaster. He was a good actor.
So anyway, they fly until dawn, I assume, because it's daylight at this point. Mm-hmm. And they're flying over this town, and they're talking about how this outbreak is affecting everyone.
Right.
And saying that the rednecks must really love this.
Oh, yeah, because then they fly over a scene of redneck.
Yes.
Which, you know what? I can't say I wouldn't be doing this.
Oh, right.
Drinking beer and shooting zombies. That sounds like the American dream.
Oh, yeah. Perfect target practice. Because they're just out there drinking, and they're like really looking at them and shooting them.
The song that plays. And this is more social commentary about how, because they're making like a day of it. They're drinking beer, shooting zombies.
Hell to the
having a good time. And there's a song called "I'm a Man" playing.
Oh, really?
I'm a man. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like I said, I don't sound it, but I would probably be drinking beer and shooting zombies with these guys.
I mean, why not?
I'd be out there. Fuck it.
So they land at an abandoned gas station.
Yes.
And
they touch down so they can refuel again.
Refuel. And they're kind of freaking out a little bit because there's not a lot of gas.
Right.
Obviously, people came in and got gas and they were like, fuck all of you people. But anyway. So Peter goes inside the gas station. And this part was funny to me. He sees a broken down coffee machine.
Right.
And he hits it. And it pours out coffee.
Out comes some coffee.
And then he drinks it. And I'm like, no.
Well, I mean, the world's ended. That coffee's not a zombie.
But at this point, did they know that? I don't know. So this is my first run-in with Steven and his idiocracy.
Oh my God. So Steven.
Steven!
Oh, I like Steven, but I hate him at the same time.
Oh, me too.
Steven is a problem for me.
Oh, yeah.
But you had to have, in these 4 survivors, you had to have a guy like this. You had
A stupid fuckhead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't know how to shoot.
Because you have Roger, Roger's more the wild card, I guess I should say. But you have Francine, the kind of grounded one. Then you have Peter, the badass one, who's brave. And then you have Steven, who is a kind of a foil.
He knows how to fly a helicopter.
Yeah, and he's emotional, and he lets, we see throughout the entire movie, he lets his emotions get the best of him, and it leads him into some dumbass situations.
Because he's
especially here, because he's trying to prove something, I guess, about being a man to Francine, when it's like, there's zombies, dude. Can we not do this right now?
Right, because he gets pinned by a zombie.
And he tries to fight him off and stuff.
He's not doing a very good job.
No, because, oh man. So, because Roger's fueling up the helicopter, and Steven runs up, tells him, hey, look out, a fucking zombie. And this is where we get this famous scene of this zombie coming up over the boxes to try to get Roger.
Oh, yeah.
And what's great about this scene is you can definitely see where the head has been extended on this zombie.
Oh, yeah, because it looks...
Yeah, so where
weird.
The blades hit it, the head squirts off and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just really funny. But it's a great effect nonetheless, though.
Yeah, so during this time...
Meanwhile,
Peter's in the gas station part, drinking his coffee, and he hears something behind the door, so he starts shooting the door.
Uh-huh.
And Peter gets attacked by the zombie, and then it goes back, and these zombie children come out the door at Peter.
And these are the only zombies you'll ever see that run in a Romero flick.
Okay. That makes sense. Probably because they're children.
In the whole movie, they're the only ones that run. And I believe this was Tom Savini's nephew and niece.
Oh, well, they got the shit fucked out of... Oh, wait. Oh,
whoa, dude.
I did not mean to say that.
Whoa,
you better cut that out.
Not Catholic.
I did not mean to say...
We are not Catholic.
Don't put that in here.
You are not allowed. That's going to be in there.
Do not put that in here. That's not what I meant.
Not Catholic.
You better cut that part.
So Peter blows some kids away. Oh.
Yes. He unloads his gun in them. Like,
God, there's nothing not dirty.
Okay. You can just cut it. Everything I said about that.
Peter kills some children ruthlessly.
I'm sorry.
So through this scene, this is where we realize Steven is a fucking awful shot.
Yeah.
So we get a scene where he's trying to shoot a zombie. Again, I think he's just trying to impress Francine, but he's trying to shoot this zombie. He's not hitting it, so Roger has to step in and blow the zombie away. Then, while Peter has just killed the fucking children, here comes this zombie in this like flannel sweater type thing and kind of surprises Peter. Well, Peter turns around to get it, but then he sees Steven in the background aiming the rifle right at him. Aiming for the zombie, but he's definitely going to shoot fucking Peter.
Because he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, so Peter has to leap out of the fucking way to avoid Steven's shot. And again, I swear, it's just because he's trying to impress his girlfriend.
Dude, stop. She knows how big your dick is. Just stop.
You don't have to almost kill Peter.
Right.
And while we're on it, Peter is played by Ken Foree, like I keep fucking saying. But he's in Dawn of the Dead, which is this movie. He's in a lot of Rob Zombie movies he's been popping up in lately. Devil's Rejects and stuff like that. And he just keeps popping up, and he's a pleasure to watch act. So I don't know. And he's always a badass. Stephen almost kills Peter, and Roger has to step in again to kill this zombie before he ends up killing Peter. And that's that. And we realize Stephen sucks.
Yeah.
At shooting.
And Peter is pissed.
Yeah.
He goes up and aims his gun at Steven to show him how scary it was. I don't remember what he said, but he was just teaching him a lesson.
He's like, it's scary getting a gun pointed at you, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So
they go back in the helicopter, and Peter makes another dig. He's like, what were they saying? Like,
oh, they're talking about
this is
surviving the zombies, and if they almost didn't make it back there, but then Peter's like, yeah, well, it's one of those zombies didn't almost blow me away.
Right. Just got to keep digging it in.
It's pretty funny.
And so they're talking about like what their plan is. And Fran's like, we don't have food or water or radio.
Yeah, she says it like,
whoa,
this is fucking stupid. Land this helicopter.
And lo and behold, they find a mall. They find a mall. And they're just kind of scoping it out, and they decide that they're going to land on the roof of the mall,
right,
and check it out.
So this mall, like I said, it was an actual mall that they had used, and George A. Romero had secured it because he had connections to the owners and stuff like that. So he secured it from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. is how often they had this. And so this movie was shot over a span of like 4 months, and 4 months because they took some breaks because they weren't willing to take down some holiday decorations that the mall had up. So they just waited. But yeah, it's shot over a period of 4 months and 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Can you imagine that?
Well, they're just working night shift.
Yeah. Whew. Shooting movies. But and once we're in the mall, the majority of this movie, that's it. We don't really leave this mall.
Right.
Which I think is good because we don't really get shots of the outside very much. If we do, it's like the immediate vicinity of the mall, or it's shots on the TV in some like studio, which we'll get to later.
Right. So they're looking around they have these weird like pyramid window things on the roof, and you can see into the mall. Mm-hmm. And you can see the zombies walking around and stuff on the bottom floor.
Yeah.
But they say they don't see any on the second floor, but they're trying to figure out the best way to get in.
Right.
And they find a storage room kind of thing.
It's a storage room, and it has like survival supplies in it, like survival food, I suppose.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, it just says survival supplies. So.
Well, what a coincidence. So they decide to go in there. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Peter was like, how are we going to get in there? And not Peter, sorry. Steven said that. And Peter just breaks the window.
Yeah.
And just jumps in.
Ken Foree, Peter, he gets all the badass parts, all the badass lines. It's amazing.
Oh, it was pretty great. He just jumps in. Fran's one of them says, hey, look, free lunch. And Fran's like, yeah, spam.
Yeah, and Roger's like, hey, do you have a can opener?
She's like, no.
Then don't knock it. It has its own key. I was like, oh.
So they're looking around and they see that there's a lot of stuff down in the mall that they could use. Mm. Well, yeah, because back in that day, malls had
malls had stores for everything.
Stores, not just clothing, but like hardware stores.
Yeah, because now what is the mall? Is it a place for hipsters? I'm not sure. I haven't been really to the mall.
In a long time. It's mostly clothes and really expensive gadgets.
But yeah, so the mall isn't what it used to be. And like during this time, malls, because we're leaving the 70s, getting to the 80s, and the 80s were, goddamn, the period of the mall, 80s and 90s. But yeah, so this mall has it all. I rhymed.
They're saying that they can do a hit and run, hit the mall and run. Oh, so they decide that they're going to go check it out. And they're telling Fran, you're probably going to hear some shooting. Don't panic.
Yeah, they leave her behind, which is kind of sexist.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Like, leave the chick behind. But I guess when you think about it, I mean...
Well, Peter kind of explains it later.
Yeah, because technically Steven is supposed to stay behind too. So I think he's just more like thinking about it as, you know, me and Roger have training.
Right,
so,
we're cops, so...
Yeah, so we just need to go. These two would just get in our way, especially Steven's horrible shot, which, again, comes up here in a little bit.
But Peter explains why Fran doesn't go later. So they go into, like, another part of this storage thing, and they find the keys to the building, and they decide that they're going to turn on the music, so it kind of distracts the zombies from what they're doing, because they're going to probably make a lot of noise. And they turn on the power to everything, the elevators, the lights, and everything. And this is when Steven decides to follow them.
Yeah, and again, it's Steven. Now, I mean, it is kind of a good thing that he goes, because it's Steven, because he wanders into this boiler room and he finds, well, a gun first, and then he finds the maps to the mall, the blueprints.
Yes, which help them.
Roger and Peter, meanwhile, are getting some supplies, because they formulate a plan how they can kind of run through the zombies, because they're slow. And get to the supplies, get to this one store. Because so they make it and stuff, and they start getting supplies. And like we said, you know, Steven follows for some stupid reason, and he ends up in a boiler room where he gets the maps and the keys, but he also encounters a zombie.
Like always. And he's trying to shoot this thing, but for some reason... Every time he shoots, it ricochets in there, because it's a fucking boiler room. There's pipes everywhere. So when he shoots and misses, obviously, this bullet is ricocheting all around him. So it's like, but he keeps fucking doing it. Oh, yeah. And it sounds so crazy. It sounds like a cartoon bullet thing. It's like, right. I can't do the noises. Yeah. Sorry. So Roger and Peter decide that they're going to get a TV, a radio, some lighter fluid, a wheelbarrow. Yeah, they're trying to just get the necessities there first. Right. And so they go to the other side of the store that they're at. They go down and they make sure the doors are locked, and they start banging on the glass. Right. To get the zombies to come over there, so they can run away with their supplies back to where they need to go. And honestly, this little scene and stuff like that, it's tight. This whole movie is just moves. Yes. So there's back and forth. Yeah. Yeah. There's never there's never a time where nothing's going on. Right. Something's happened constantly. And like I said, that's a testament to Romero's editing style and shooting style. It's just, he makes this fucking movie move, you know? Right. So they're distracting the zombies to come down there. They go back up and they're trying to run out the other door with their supplies, but there's a few zombies there. Steven kills one. Peter kind of gets, I say attacked, but not really. He doesn't get bit or anything. Right. But he picked this fucking zombie up and threw it over the balcony like it was a freaking rubber toy or something. Yeah, because Peter's a fucking badass. Yeah. So yeah, he throws this fucking zombie, saves Steven, who they call Flyboy, which I don't know why I like that, but Flyboy.
So Steven joins them and, distracting the zombies and getting supplies and stuff like that.
And when Steven does walk up, though, there's a few, like, zombies in this little hallway area. And Peter's, like, directing him how to get out of there safely. He's like, just run. So he gets out of there. Steven gets out of there, sorry. And they run to the department store.
Yeah.
Which was confusing me because I thought they were already at a department store. I don't know.
Well, it's a mall.
Right. So Roger gets taken down by a zombie, but gets away.
Yeah,
because he's smart.
Yeah, because this is where we get the coolest scene where he stabs this zombie in the fucking ear with a screwdriver.
So they're talking in the department store, and they're like, we shouldn't be in a hurry to leave the mall. And they're kind of talking about, like, where they should go and stuff. And Steven's like, I'll have a map.
Yeah, Steven kind of shows off because, like I said, it's kind of idiotic, but I guess it is a good thing that he did kind of follow them to get the maps.
Yeah, because he introduces them to, he's like, I don't know what this is. And then Peter's like, oh, it's the elevator shafts.
Yeah.
And during this time, Fran decides that she's going to start looking for Steven because she's kind of an idiot.
Yeah, and when Steven had went out to help Roger and Peter,
oh, that's right. He took the gun that Peter had given to her.
Right. And he kind of accidentally leaves that door open a little bit. And that's how our Hare Krishna zombie gets in there, which is the best zombie ever.
Oh, really? You think so?
Yeah. What was your favorite zombie?
Probably the kids.
The kid zombies?
Yeah.
You just wanted to see kid murder.
No. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway. So it kind of like cuts back and forth to Fran trying to find Steven, and then the guy is going in the elevator shaft, and the zombie's following Fran, and she lights a flare, and he doesn't come near her because she's got the flare, and she kind of sees this like ladder thing. What was that for?
It's just a ladder.
But why was it there?
I don't laddering?
Just in the middle of this
idea.
Room. It was weird. But anyway, she starts to go up it, and then
well, yeah, because if you go up the ladder, there's that skylight.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. That's why I was like, why is this ladder there? And the guys walk in and shoot the zombie, and Steven helps her down.
Yeah, the Hare Krishna zombie.
Is that what they're called?
Hare Krishna?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
There's not very many of them much anymore here, but like, I don't know. It's a religious group, and they would stand outside airports. I don't remember. It's just Google.
Okay.
Google it.
Okay. So Steven says, we really haven't made here.
Yeah, because they're sitting around and they're thinking, we should make this our home. We got plenty of supplies. We could barricade things.
Right.
It's a stronghold, so all of them think it's a good idea, except for Francine.
Yes. She's in the other room, and Steven thinks she's asleep. And Peter says Fran looks sick.
Yeah.
And Steven's like, yeah, well, she's pregnant. 3 or 4 months. And Peter is so serious and kind of morbid in this part. I don't know.
Yeah, because we get a little abortion commentary.
Yeah.
But yeah, because Peter's like, do you want to get rid of it?
He's like, I know how to get rid of it.
Yeah. Do you want to abort it? And stuff like that. And
Steven just kind of shakes his head.
Yeah, because Steven is like somewhat fucking considering it. It's fucked up.
Well, I think because they weren't married.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
And I feel like they're like in some kind of weird relationship. Maybe they weren't exclusive, and then she got pregnant or something.
Yeah, it could have been that.
That's the feel that I get.
Yeah. Again,
the deepness.
Fucking Romero, man. He plants these little seeds doesn't quite explain it to you too much, but you start like thinking on a whole different fucking level while you're watching these movies.
Right.
And it's great.
So Steven goes in the room with Fran and she says, so your decision is made. And he was like, do you want to get rid of it? And she was like, do you want to get rid of it? And then they don't say anything else.
Yeah.
And, from the other room, Peter's talking to Roger and he says, someone needs to stand watch at all time. And then Fran's talking to Steven. She said, no one cares about my vote. No one cares about what we're doing. Oh, because she says, so what happened to Canada? Because they were going to go to Canada.
Yeah, because that was the original plan. They were going to escape to Canada.
So she's like kind of upset that she doesn't have a say-so in what's going on.
Right, because she kind of doesn't.
Right. They're just making all the decisions.
I know.
It's
a little sexist.
Yeah. And then Steven's like, you're the one that wanted to set up house. And I have to disagree with this. No, she said they didn't have food or water or a radio.
Right. I don't know if he was referring to them all or if he was referring to them in their regular lives.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. That's the way I took it.
They set up the TV that they got, and there's an announcer on there, and they're saying that these things are not human.
Yeah.
And they only feed on warm bodies. It's and everything we've already heard before.
Right. And so this guy on the TV looks like Stanley Kubrick with an eye patch on. I don't know. It's crazy.
It's kind of weird. He was kind of scary, and he was kind of loud because he's talking about how they run on pure motorized instinct. They're not your family and friends. And they must be destroyed on sight. And he like yells.
Yeah.
Whoa, dude, calm down. And they're talking about how they think it's a virus.
Lots of zombies in our feature today. But the biggest zombie is, of course, the mall. The mall. Food courts, eclectic shops, and rent-a-cops. You know, the bigger-than-life, fake badge looking... Anyway, got a humorous mall story? We want to hear from you. Send in your most funny, embarrassing, or downright shameful mall stories to horrorfile1987@yahoo.com, or go to our website and click on the mailbag section and follow the directions to send in those stories. They still have those cookies the size of your head? I'd go for one of those. Yeah, they're kind of saying, you know, people are kicking around maybe it's a viral infection that's causing people to do that, and they kind of mention, you know, maybe there's a vaccine they could perfect. And again, this is where you get the whole, all these movies are always super vague about how it started, how the zombie apocalypse started.
Right. So this is when Fran decides that, okay, we can stay.
Yeah.
She says she doesn't want to be treated differently, and she wants to be part of the plan, which I agree.
Yeah, she needs to be included.
And she says, I'm not the housemaid or something like that.
Yeah, she basically wants to be treated equal, and which they should. And they end up doing, especially Peter, because he's kind of just agreeing with her.
Oh, yeah, he totally agrees. And she said she wants to learn how to fly the helicopter in case anything happens.
Yeah.
And she's like, and don't leave me without a gun. And... I mean, Peter had given her a gun.
Right.
But then Steven took the gun. But at this point, Peter says, like, I agree with you, but you can't go out with us until you learn how to do all of these things. Which I agree. Because
right, she needs to learn how to handle herself.
Handle herself, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Which I agree. Because if you act stupid, you're going to get hurt, Steven. Anyway, that's for another time. But they've made a plan. They're going to block the entrances to the mall.
Right.
Because Roger knows how to hotwire anything, apparently.
Yeah, Roger's cool. Again, wild card. He's awesome. He's both. But yeah, so their plan is to hotwire these, what are they, semis out there?
Yeah, I said box trucks, but one's a box truck,
just
one's a
big
semi.
old trucks.
Yeah.
They plan to hotwire these trucks and block the mall doors with them, which is a pretty good idea. So they have to do this, but they need to make sure everything's okay. So Peter is out there flying above them, keeping an eye on everything.
Steven.
Oh, shit.
I do that
I
too.
got confused.
I do it too.
So Steven is flying a helicopter above everybody, keeping an eye on things, while Peter and Roger are down on the ground doing the hard work, you know.
Right. Hot wiring the cars or the trucks and getting them to where they need to go. And Steven's not doing a very good job.
Right.
Because Roger's working on this truck and he's like upside down and the truck gets surrounded by zombies.
Right. And Steven does try to like signal to Peter, but it's like, nobody think about how he's going to communicate with you.
Right. They don't have walkie-talkies at this time or anything like that. But Peter kind of sees what's going on, so he drives up and shoots the zombies and stuff. Right. And there's like this zombie that's like on top of Roger. And Peter's like, push its head up. Push its head up. So Roger like pushes the head up and Peter shoots it and it just explodes like all over Roger. Ugh.
Yeah. And more of that bright blood. It's amazing.
Yes. It was a good effect. And I kind of liked that part. It was kind of creepy, but kind of funny at the same time.
Right.
And and Roger shoots another zombie and he's like, bastards.
Yeah, this is where, okay, so when he shoots this zombie, this is where we get kind of a glimpse at Roger. Roger's kind of losing it. Like, all the stuff's kind of getting to him.
Yeah.
So he's starting to be rash. He's starting to make stupid decisions. And that ultimately leads to what's about to happen.
Right. So they're driving around the building and they're just running over zombies. And
we forgot to fucking mention, this is where we're gifted the most amazing line ever in a movie. We got this by the ass. And I've always loved this line because, like, for some reason, I always tried to, for some reason in high school, I was trying to make this a thing.
Oh my God.
So I kept saying it and people just thought I was stupid.
Well,
nobody thought I was just being funny because nobody got the fucking reference. I'm the only fucking 17-year-old during, or not even 17, I think I was like 16 during the new metal period, fucking making Dawn of the Dead references, which, God damn it, people weren't cool.
Were they not?
Yeah, it was them.
Okay.
It wasn't my fault. Because I surrounded myself with horror movies instead of people.
Okay.
The horror movies didn't judge.
Oh my gosh. So they're driving around killing the zombies that are in the parking lot. Mm-hmm. Fran's on the roof. She's shooting them because she's cool. Steven ain't doing shit except for flying a helicopter.
Steven can fly a helicopter. That's what Steven's good at.
Oh, can that be an install? Go fly a helicopter.
Shut the fuck up, Steven.
Steven!
Oh, God.
Nobody's going to understand.
But yeah, so this is the moment where Roger gets bitten because he's, again, being dumb. And Peter has to, even Peter's like, man, you need to get your shit together. And so he has to drive fucking Roger's forgetful ass back to the other truck.
Because he left his bag.
Yeah, he left his bag of tools.
And Peter says, you're playing with my life.
Yeah.
And he's not happy about it. So Roger gets out of one truck to get in the other truck, punches zombies, and gets bit.
Yep. He gets bit, I believe, first on the arm.
Yeah.
And then
the
on
leg.
the leg is the second bite. And that's, whew. And again, I love the effects in these biting shots, and you just want more. Like, even though it is low budget and stuff, but that practical, like, skin tearing, you can see some sinew. That's all Savini, man. That is good shit.
That just hurt so bad.
And there's a project I want to work on coming up later in the year and stuff like that.
Are you going to
bite
my leg off?
No.
Okay.
No, but like you can tell when it's a Savini movie as opposed to someone else's movie because the effects are so good.
Oh, yeah.
There is a difference. And that's what I love about these old horror movies and even some of the new ones is you can tell who worked on what, or at least I can.
Right.
Because of their effects. And it's great because you could tell Greg Nicotero from Savini, from all these other guys, Mark Shaw. It's just so much awesomeness. And it's great to see the different art forms, basically, is what it is. But yeah, so Roger's bit.
Peter says, yeah, do something about that leg.
Yeah, it's like, I'm doing something about it. You don't worry about it. We got this by the ass. Sorry. I'm going to try to make that a thing again this year.
No.
We got this by the ass.
Just like when you wore the cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I look good in that cowboy hat.
You said you hated it.
I did. I hated it. I feel like I'd look better in a regular cowboy hat. It was one of those Toby Keith, I don't give a fuck beer, straw cowboy hats. And I just looked weird.
Yeah. I was there.
Look, I was like, I'm
Every
sure
day.
if I wore a normal cowboy hat, like a Longmire hat, you know?
I wanted to burn that thing.
I know you did.
And that's why you wore it.
Yeah.
That's how our marriage is going.
That's how our marriage is going to end, with a hat.
Yes.
I'm not taking this fucking hat off. But,
Okay.
so Roger spit.
What?
So Roger is bit.
Roger is bit. I thought you said Roger spit. And I was like,
Roger spit.
what? Okay.
Pooey.
And Fran is bandaging him up.
While Francine, sorry, I can't call her Fran. It's weird. So while Francine is bandaging Roger, they realize after blocking the door, they still got zombies in the fucking mall.
Mm-hmm.
They got to get rid of the zombies.
Right.
So Peter and Steven decide to break into the gun shop because, again, they have these blueprints. So they know that there's a gun shop they could get to. And if they can get to that, then they'll have enough ammo and firepower to take out whatever was left inside the mall.
Right.
Because they also still have to somehow lock these front doors.
So nobody can get in.
Right. Well, also the zombies could push their way through.
Oh, right. Right. So while they're in this gun shop, please explain to me this fucking animal music. It's just like that, and then a little bit of music mixed in.
Wow. Yeah, it's.
I'm like,
It's safari music, I guess.
It was making me very unnerved, and I think it's the goblin music though that unnerves me the most because I did during Suspiria too. Yeah,
that Goblin's amazing, and
it was good. I liked it for this movie, but fuck. Ugh.
And yeah, I would have loved to have the entire soundtrack in the theatrical edition, but like I said, I also appreciate. I don't know. I just really like Romero's decisions, so I always go with him. So I guess I'm a little biased, but I think it works for this because I mean, Dawn of the Dead isn't a giallo film, but the amount of goblin they used in the final product here that we watched, I feel like is the proper amount because you still get a lot of it, but it's not as much.
Right, which was fine. I liked it. It just was a little unnerving. So this is kind of a fun scene for me. So they're all running through the mall. And Roger's in this wheelbarrow.
Yeah, because this is where they decide, they gotta clear the zombies.
Yeah.
So they get Roger in the wheelbarrow, and they load everybody up with guns.
Hell yeah!
And so they make it into one of the stores where they were going for supplies. They make it in there, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to get to the doors to block them because there are a lot of zombies in the mall still that they don't know if they can run through. Because of how they're grouping.
Right.
So Fran comes up with the idea, hey, use the cars out in the mall.
Right. Because back in that day, they had cars in the mall.
Yeah. I think they did. I think they still do that. Do they still do that?
Sometimes. I haven't seen one in a very long time, but in my mall experience, yes.
Because there were all these like raffling off cars.
So, do you know what kind of car that was? Was it a
man. It's not. Was it a Gremlin?
Maybe. I was going to say a Geo.
Oh, it might have been actually.
It looked like a little Geo Metro, but I could be wrong. I don't know cars very well.
Yeah, me either.
But that's kind of what it looked like. Anyway, so, I wrote, Peter has some badass headshots.
Yeah, he's fucking taking some zombies out because they end up getting this Roger ends up getting this car hot wired, and this is where they're driving around to the exits to lock them up.
Yes, and I wrote, Steven is stupid. I'm not sure for what this time, but I wrote it. Is it because he wasn't getting in the car?
Who?
Steven.
I thought Steven was in the car.
That's why I was like, I don't know why I wrote Steven is stupid.
Oh, you're probably just thinking Steven was stupid.
Probably. So, Roger's trying to get into the car, and a zombie fingers his leg wound.
Oh, God. Why did that make me hurt?
Because you know it would fucking hurt. So Stan, God damn it.
What the fuck is Stan?
I didn't mean to say that.
Stan just pops up. Is he an extra character?
Yes. Just Stan.
Hey there, I'm Stan.
Oh my God.
Through this zombie apocalypse.
Oh my God. No, so Fran.
Or you can call me Stanley. It's all good.
Oh
I accept either way.
Stop.
Stan is Stanley.
You don't have to
It's
do
fine.
voices every time.
You do voices.
I don't.
You do. Wow. My impression of no one is slowly turning into Rocky. Do the questions.
Anyway.
All right, go ahead.
So Fran stayed back in the department store thing, and so they walkie-talkie her. They have these huge fucking walkie-talkies. They're like as big as bricks.
They are 78 walkie-talkies.
Yes. And
These were very portable back in the day.
I was like, I don't even know what they said over the walkie-talkie because it was so big. It was like
Were you
distracting me.
intimidated by the big black walkie-talkie?
I was. I don't even know what was said here.
Oh, shit.
What did I write? I wrote, we will get the easy.
Hell.
There. Peter says, we will get there easily. We will get it all locked up, and we're going on a hunt.
Yeah. Basically meaning, as soon as they get the fucking doors blocked,
Right.
then they're going to go kill all the zombies in the mall. Because, this whole thing, once they get this done, it's going to help them so much better to get supplies and to just work around the mall instead of hiding out in their closet where they're located at.
So, this goes to Fran giving Roger some morphine. Ooh, fun stuff.
Yeah, because Roger is not doing
He's
so good.
fucked.
Yeah, he's getting close.
And she's taking good care of him, even though she said she
Yeah.
wasn't going to be the mom. She's being the mom.
Yeah, she's doing a good job.
Yeah.
But so this is where they load up.
Fran walks back in and she's talking to Peter. And she's like, I don't know what to do. Peter says, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
It should take no more than 3 days.
Yeah, he's like, he hasn't seen anybody last very long with this. So it's either they let it take its course and then they do what needs to be done, or they kill him now. That's their only options.
Right.
Leaving the mall to try to get him to a hospital or something like that would be a
That
fucking
wouldn't
suicide
work.
mission.
Right. And from the other room, Roger says, didn't we whip them? We got them
whipped
all.
him, didn't he? Yeah, because he's bad.
He's
Close.
trying to be up and perky and act
Yeah.
like this isn't happening.
It's kind of sad,
It is sad.
Because I like Roger. Roger was cool.
So, Stephen and... Sorry to fix my light. Stephen and Peter are building a wall.
Yeah.
So that no one could tell that there's a stairway.
Yeah, up to where they're living.
Right.
Like that way, because even Peter says earlier, we don't have to just worry about the zombies. We have to worry about people too.
Right.
Raiders. And so he builds this wall, this false wall to block and to kind of camouflage where they're at. Mm-hmm. So you can't get to that stairwell. Because anybody coming into this mall is not going to have the blueprints, so they're not going to know to go to the stairwell where they're living.
Right.
So by building this false wall, it hides them out better.
Which was very smart.
Right.
So Fran's throwing up in the bathroom. And she's embarrassed. She doesn't want Steven to see her, but he won't fucking leave. Because he's a douchewad. But I understand. I don't like people seeing me throw up either.
Blech.
What?
Blech.
So she kicks Steven out. So, go away.
Man, speaking about throwing up,
are you pregnant?
Are you ever creeped out when I throw up?
Yes.
Because I'm silent?
So the very first time I ever knew you were throwing up because I didn't hear anything was the night we got engaged.
Right.
We went to Cheesecake Factory. You had Baja tacos, which apparently you're allergic to.
I don't know what it is. It's something about the Baja sauce, and Baja sauce does not like me. And so...
So you're in the bathroom, like, throwing up. And I know something's happening because I can hear your throw up hitting the toilet and you flushing the toilet, but nothing else. You're not making any noise at all.
No.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm a silent puker. I don't know what it is. I don't make a noise.
You're a
completely
psychopath.
Silent. Probably. But I remember throwing up in front of one of my friends one time when we got really drunk. And I remember throwing up in front of him, and he was like more disgusted that I was silent.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, splat, splat. Like just silence, splat, splat.
Not me. When I throw up, it's wretched.
Oh, God,
like,
no.
I could make someone throw up just from the noises that I'm making. You've never seen me throw up.
I've never seen you throw up, but I've heard you throw up.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought I've only thrown up like once since we've been together.
No. Well, yeah, one time I saw you, and then a couple more times.
What?
I didn't see you, I heard you.
When I was in the shower?
I don't remember. I remember hearing you at some point, though.
Oh, when we went to the hospital.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes, I forgot about that.
That's not funny. It was, though. It was so loud.
Oh, I was.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I'm sorry.
Oh, because we're in the emergency room, waiting room, and I'm throwing up in the bathroom because of the medicine they gave me. And I was in so much pain.
Bad time.
Yeah.
So I'm a psychopath.
Surgery soon.
Yay.
So anyway. So Peter says they have to clean up. And by clean up, he means gather the dead bodies.
Yep, it's time to gather the bodies. Yeah, he says this place is going to get fucking rotten, which he's right. You got a bunch of fucking dead zombies. It's going to start smelling real bad. And they got to live there. Right.
And my dumbass would have never thought to put them in the freezer. Obviously, there's freezers because there's food. So they just pile them in the freezer.
Well, that's why we're not Peter. See?
Right.
Peter's got this. He's got this by the ass.
Right. So once they get everything cleaned up and everybody's dead and stuff. Oh, the zombies. Sorry, not everybody. They start playing around in the mall, which I would have done too.
Right. They kind of let loose.
Yeah. Trying to
work off some fucking stress.
Yeah.
So they're going around, they're playing video games, getting coffee.
Candy.
Yeah, candy.
Skating
just
rink.
Having a good time. And there's a scene where Roger is like eating olives or something.
Yeah.
Every
like right
time
out of the jar.
I see this scene, I always want some fucking olives or something pickled because like the look is just like this.
Okay. Fran's doing Steven's hair.
Yeah. Oh,
it's funny. So they go back to their little bunker and Roger's in a lot of pain.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah. And Peter decides to stay with him. because he's a good friend.
Yeah, he's like, you go, I'll stay with him. And so
Right.
Steven and Steven and Francine go into the next room, and Peter's sitting there with him, and this is where Roger asks Peter basically to kill him.
Yeah.
That's fucked up, because he's like, I don't want to be walking around like that. So
Right.
he's like, I'm gonna try not to. I'm gonna try not to come back, but if I do,
Oh, it was so sad.
yeah, that part gets you.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm going to try real hard not to come back. And he says that a couple times, and I'm like, it's inevitable.
Yeah, because again, you like Roger. You don't want to see him die. He was pretty cool.
Right. So Fran and Steven are in the other room, and they're watching the news. And Peter is across the room from Roger, and he's drinking a bottle of Jack, which I don't blame him.
Yeah.
And he seems real nervous.
Yeah, and this is where, Steven and Francine are watching the TV, and there's this broadcast, and here's Stanley Kubrick again, and we get kind of a deep scene. I know it's a little silly, but what he's talking about, I would say, because the whole mall thing represents our like consumer culture and stuff, obviously. It's hitting you on the head throughout this movie, like the mall and the zombies in it. It's the social satire again. We're not unlike the zombies in this mall at the time, you know what I mean, as consumers. But so that coupled with more on this TV of Stanley Kubrick with an eye patch saying, how he's sitting there saying, we have to think rationally. We have to. It has to be that way. It can't be, because the newscaster's sitting there drinking and saying, listen, man, scientifically, none of this makes sense, because like they're trying to figure out, well, how can they stand? And the scientist guy, Stanley Kubrick's like, well, if they die soon enough, and then someone's like, well, they didn't die just soon. And so they're just going back and forth. And he's like, we have to think rationally. It can't be anything else. And it's like, it's more social commentary there with the whole thing where people cling to their ideals.
Right.
When something goes wrong, they can't think any way else.
And you got to be rational.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So at this point, Roger's turned into a zombie.
Mm-hmm.
So Peter's pointing the gun, and he finally shoots. But you don't see him shoot Roger. You just see Fran and Steven hear the gunshot.
Right.
Because they didn't expect it. You could have been like, hey guys, I'm about to shoot this gun. I don't know.
Well, I think they knew it was coming.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, so then it cuts to, they bury him in one of the planters.
Which,
I guess that's a good burial spot. God.
where do you bury your friend?
Right. That's true. That's hard. It's like, man, we're going to bury you in the mall. I don't want to ever be stuck in the mall. That's the two places I don't want to die at, is at work and the mall. Like, I've told people down where I work, if I die here, if I start to die, drag me out to the fucking road. Do not let me die in this place. Because just in case I'm wrong about ghosts not being real, I don't want to have to haunt my workplace.
Oh, I do.
That would suck ass. I don't even like being there when I'm there. I don't want to have to stay there in the for all eternity haunting people, because I'd be such a terrible ghost. I'd be a terrible fucking zombie. I'd never eat.
Because you don't like intestines?
I'm scared of people. And I don't want to eat that. It has to be cooked.
He does like cooked food.
Hot food's delicious. It's amazing.
You don't have to have a hot meal for every meal,
Yes,
every
you
time,
do. You gotta
every
have
day.
something heated with that meal.
No, you can have a sandwich.
A hot sandwich.
Not
a
necessary.
panini.
Okay, bougie. Anyway. Okay, can you explain my notes here? I need you to explain my notes.
Okay, I have to explain your notes.
Yes. They bury Roger in a planter, and doing target practice.
Oh, yeah. It cuts to Steven's teaching Francine how to shoot.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's either Steven or Peter is teaching it. I really hope it's Peter. I don't remember the scene quite.
I think it was Peter.
Okay, good.
It was very quick.
Yeah, it's kind of showing that they are teaching her how to shoot.
Right.
Because that comes up, you know.
Yeah, it was just like, why did I write that? Anyway, so later that night or whatever, Peter made a special dinner for Francine and Steven.
Yeah, it's really nice of him.
And he goes to Roger's grave to drink champagne.
Yeah, and I didn't remember the scene when we watched it the other night. I was like, damn, that's fucking depressing.
It was very sad. Stephen and Francine, whatever, Franny. He calls her Franny.
Oh, he does call her Franny a couple times. So yeah, they're having a dinner, and Stephen eventually asks Francine to marry him, and she declines because I in a way, I kind of get it.
Because he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Is that why?
No.
Or is it the apocalypse? Because I think it's because he's a fucking idiot.
Like, the really sexy black gentleman.
Yeah, he my baby daddy now.
I think I'd rather marry him in the apocalypse.
Because he my baby daddy now.
Please don't say that.
She says, no, can't right now. Because it won't be real. But then it cuts to a scene and they're in bed naked. And they're just kind of like...
Yeah, apparently they had like meaningless sex or something.
Apparently, because they both look very disappointed.
Yeah, and Steven's like uber depressed after this shit.
Yeah, because Steven is a fucktard. So it cuts to, I assume, a few months later.
Yeah, because it shows a scene of one of them marking off days of the calendar. So we know it's like a bit forward in time because the first thing we see is Francine getting up off the bed and she's a little bit further along in her pregnancy.
Yeah. And Peter's outside and he's playing wall ball?
Yeah, he's playing tennis, kind of.
Oh, tennis. He did have a racket.
Yeah, he's kind of batting tennis balls off the top of the mall, which here's another cool ass shot. I love this because you get a shot of Peter and you can tell all of them are getting tired of the mall. The mall that they've tried to make a home is now becoming more of a prison. Because,
Right.
I mean, when you think about it, these people, what they once had in their previous lives don't really mean dick now.
Right.
So what do? It's you're trapped in this mall. You need to go.
Yeah.
You can't stay. So we see that on his face, because he's angrily batting these tennis balls. And the cool shot is when he turns around and just fucking storms off a little bit. Like he knocks a tennis ball off and it rolls off into the ground. And then it hits right next to this dead body and then bounces up and you see all the zombies again. And I love that shot because it's like, here's inside with Peter and stuff like that.
But
and
here's
there's
what's going
always,
on.
there's always the looming presence outside. The zombies aren't gone. That still exists.
Right.
So this prison they've created is not just a prison physically, it's almost mentally. It's just a Band-Aid on the problem.
But they don't know what they're going to do yet.
Right. Because then we cut to this next scene.
So Peter and Steven are playing cards and they're playing with real money.
Yeah, all that basically useless money they took from the bank.
Because it's useless now.
Yeah.
And they seem to be a little irritated with each other. All three of them seem to hate each other. And Fran says, what have we done to ourselves?
Right.
I can't read my own handwriting. So then it cuts to Steven teaching Fran how to fly the helicopter.
Yeah, because they're making good on what she wanted.
Right.
Even though, damn, it took him a long time to do this helicopter thing. But then
Right.
again, maybe there was other lessons before this that we didn't see. Because
Right.
it is kind of quick because he's like, you got it. and stuff like that when she lands and takes it up and then lands again.
Right.
He's excited. She's excited. But then we cut back and we're on the outskirts of the mall. And who should appear? Tom Savini and his bike and Breton. Yeah, this is where we're kind of introduced to Tom Savini's biker character, who he doesn't have a name, but Tom Savini's biker character. This character is pretty fucking iconic. And this is more of that social commentary and stuff that pops up in Romero movies that he really perfected in this one, where it's like the worst threat to them isn't the zombies, it's more the people.
Because they can take care of the zombies.
Right. The zombies are the easy part of a zombie outbreak. It's the motherfuckers who are trying to take your shit and kill you.
Right. For
and
no reason.
I swear, like I said, The Walking Dead isn't a ripoff, but they had to have gotten Negan from this character.
Oh, you think so?
I feel like it inspired it a little bit.
Maybe. Or maybe it's based on a true story.
Wait, what? The zombie apocalypse happened, man. Weren't you here?
This kind of confused me because I didn't... Did they have their own radio and they just interfered with Peter's radio?
I honestly...
frequencies?
I don't know how they were able to tune into each other's frequencies.
Maybe they were just on the same channel or whatever.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how the radios work. But
right.
Anyway, but yeah, because when we're introduced to Tom Savini and his biker buddy, they're talking about, let's go in there, let's get the shit, and we'll do it tonight. So on the radio, one of the bikers is trying to trick them into getting some info about them, tell them how many are in there, and basically so they can go in there and know what they're dealing with. Well, Peter is smart enough to be like, no, we're not talking to them.
Right.
Because we're not giving them any info.
Right. Because they're like, there's only 3 of us, but you can clearly hear a bunch of people in the back.
Yeah, they're like, only 3, really?
Yeah,
but,
right.
Yeah, so the bikers, he's like, over the radio, he's like, yeah, we don't like people who don't share, so you just fucked up real bad. And they go in with their Millers and their guns.
Their Natty Lights.
Their Miller beers. They're ready. So they bust in through this mall.
There's a lot of them, too.
Oh, yeah, there's a fucking army.
Yeah.
Well, even Peter, because they're on the rooftop kind of scoping them out as they're riding down the road towards them, he's like, that's a fucking army, man. They've probably been doing this whole time, like raiding people and stuff like that. Because, I mean, it's a militia. They're armed. They're ready. So they end up busting into this mall.
And Peter says, let's not make it easy for them.
Right.
So the bikers go in. They break in and they're killing zombies with grenades.
Right.
And hitting them with sledgehammers because now they're letting the zombies in.
Yeah, and Peter had wanted his original plan because they went downstairs. Their original plan was to lock down some of the stuff, which they did that. But then the next plan was to just go upstairs and wait this out.
Yeah, that was Peter's plan.
Yeah, Steven has other plans.
Steven's a fucking idiot.
Because Steven, for some reason, he gets in his mind because he's seeing all these bikers loot the mall. In fact, there's one really good scene where they rob a zombie. They rob several zombies, really. They pickpocket one, and then this lady zombie, they like hold her down and they take her jewelry.
And then they have
fucking funny.
A zombie pie in the face game.
Yeah, they're pieing zombies, and again, I don't know if I wouldn't do this.
Right, just fuck with some
zombies with Tom Savini.
Yeah, because they know that the zombies aren't fast.
Right.
So they're not scared of them.
Right.
And then, Steven, I wrote, what the actual fuck are you doing, Steven?
Yeah, because he gets it in his head, like I said, that this is theirs. Like, they took it, it's theirs, and stuff like that. So he ends up starting to shoot at the bikers.
Yeah, and Peter is pissed.
I mean, rightfully so.
Right. I'm not mad at Steven for being mad. I mean, Peter for being mad.
Right.
But everyone starts shooting.
Yeah.
And then Steven runs off like a little bitch.
Right. So he runs
Runs
off to try to get away from all the shooting. Peter kind of starts cleaning up the mess. The whole while, like, Tom Savini and the bikers are killing zombies and robbing the place. And then Savini catches kind of eye on Peter and kind of gives chase.
And then the lights go off.
Yeah. I think, if I remember right, I think it was Peter that shut the lights off, or was it?
I don't know. I was confused.
It might have been Steven, actually, now that I think about it. I think he went down there and shut those lights off.
He's retarded.
Well, no. I mean, it was a good move because it was harder to find out where.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did I say Steven turned off the lights?
Yeah.
Okay. So it made it harder for them to really track what's going on because now they can't see. So the zombies are overrunning them more. And by the way, while the shooting is happening, we should probably touch on this one biker with the sombrero on who is obsessed with this blood pressure cuff.
I don't understand why.
Even when the guy's like, well, what the hell are you doing sitting there in that thing while people are shooting at us? Come on.
Right?
And so this dude, he's obsessed with this cuff, and it comes up later. We'll touch on it, but what the hell?
Right. So, what's his name? Tom Savini?
Yeah, Tom Savini gives chase to Peter.
And he sees Peter go up the elevator shaft.
Right.
And then the lights come back on. And Peter's kind of looking through the shaft. Oh, my God.
Yeah, he opens up one of the vents, and he can see Tom Savini standing up because Savini's kind of fending off some zombies. Mm-hmm. And he sees him, so he takes aim, and Savini sees him, and he tries to shoot him, but Peter is faster.
Yeah, because Peter's a badass.
I know. And Savini goes down over the railings, and that's it.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, Savini. So Tom Savini, like I said, did the effects in this. He did all the awesome effects and shit. And he also would later in the 90s, he would remake this, or he would remake Night of the Living Dead, Romero's first zombie movie. Mm-hmm. So it's just, and that movie, oh man, Night of the Living Dead, Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead was good too. It wasn't as good, but had Tony Todd as the lead, and it's a good movie. But that's the end of Tom Savini in our movie.
So there's zombies eating people everywhere.
Right.
And Steven had gotten shot.
Well, yeah, because there are a couple of bikers chase Steven up into an elevator shaft that he's supposed to go.
Oh, that's right.
Because Steven goes into this elevator shaft to try to get to Peter, because Peter tells him to go that way so they can get back to the room. Well, he gets into the elevator shaft, and then these two bikers follow him, and they end up shooting up, and it shoots him in the arm real bad. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Steven's shot.
And then we get this really long scene of zombies devouring someone. Was that Tom Savini they were eating?
No. Another guy. But yeah, they're eating the bikers that stay behind, because most of the bikers got the fuck out of there because the shooting and then the zombies are overrunning. It's time to fucking go.
Yeah, they're like,
there's too many zombies pouring in, and they decide to leave. But yeah, oh man, it's a great scene because like on the way out, Peter shoots one of them off the end of this bike.
Oh, that was cool.
And that dude's like out in the crowd of zombies, and they surround him and just overcome him. It's so good because they do that exact scene on The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah,
like a bunch. Because I've always said The Walking Dead is good, but we'll talk about it later. But like, so yeah, so the zombies are chowing down, and for some reason, our friend with the sombrero decided to put his arm back into the cuff again. And he's stuck, and so the zombies eat him out of the cuff, which is pretty humorous how it like shows his blood pressure going up,
right,
as they're killing him, and then it shows it turn to 0, and it's great. But yeah, you get the fucking plethora of like gore and shit at this point, where the zombies are eating them, disemboweling one dude.
Oh man, so many intestines.
It's so good.
So, the zombies get Steven.
Yep. they end up biting him as he's trying to get into the elevator shaft again to go up. And
Right. And Peter, at this time, he's like halfway back to the shelter.
well, because like
He thought Steven had made it to, like,
Yeah.
in the elevator shaft.
and he hears him scream, and that's all
Right.
he hears. So Peter's kind of assuming he's dead at first, but then like
Right.
as Peter's going back to the shelter, he hears, because Steven is like shooting at some zombies, because Steven's a goner. I mean, he's gotten bit.
Right. He's gotten
He's fucking
shot.
shot. He's gonna die, but he ends up shooting these zombies. Well, Peter hears it and is like, "Fuck! Maybe I could have saved him." But
Yeah, he even hesitates, like he's going to go back, and then he's like, no, I can't go back.
right, and this is where we get the Steven zombie.
But Peter meets up with Fran, and Fran said he's dead. And Peter said, I heard his gun. And she goes to walk off, and he was like, no, we have to wait and see.
Yeah, he's like,
See if he comes back.
We'll wait a minute, because she's saying we need to go. They
Right.
need to fly out of there. But
Oh,
he's
that's
like-
right. She wants to leave.
Yeah, but he's like, let's give him a minute, just to see. So, yeah, so this is when the elevator opens and we get our Steven zombie reveal,
Dun, dun, dun.
which he fucking looks good as a zombie. This is one of the best zombies.
Yeah,
In fact,
I think so.
so I remember back when like FYE was around.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's around in certain states, but when we had an FYE and we had like a PacSun and stuff like that sold all these action figures
I miss Paxson.
from these old horror movies, because now I have to eBay these sons of bitches because I can't find them anywhere. But I remember the characters you could buy were the zombies, because this movie had such like iconic zombies. You had the zombie from the beginning that attacks Peter with the flannel kind of shirt on.
Yeah.
You have that zombie. You have Flyboy zombie. It's pretty cool. But yeah, the zombies you could buy, and I wish I would have, because man, that would be really cool to have now.
Yeah, it would.
But yeah, I just made me think about how, because he looked. That's really the first time I ever saw anything about this movie was on that zombie character package.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of where I kind of discovered this. I was really young. I think this was back when I was like 9 or 10. So
this kind of reverts back to what the news was saying, that the zombies are what was it, like creatures of habit or whatever,
yeah,
and
yeah, because
instinct.
yeah, because Steven leads the horde like
Mm-hmm.
through the fake wall.
Right. And they go up the stairs, and Peter tells Fran to go. And she hesitates, and he says, I don't want to go.
Yeah, he's
And
basically suggesting that, you know,
she leave, and he'll die or take care of it or
'cause
whatever.
do you think it was that?
I think he wanted to die.
Oh, okay. Because I thought the way he was talking, I thought, you know, he didn't want to leave their home here, but they had to.
No, I think he was just ready to be done.
Oh, yeah.
Because he'd already shot Roger. He already shot a bunch of people. And now
Yeah.
he's got to kill Steven. And so I think he was just tired.
Yeah. So yeah, Peter stays behind. Well, at first they kill Steven Zombie.
Yeah.
Because Steven Zombie comes to the door first. Peter blows his brains out.
Yeah.
And that's the end of Steven Zombie. But yeah, so he stays back while Francine gets into the copter.
And just more and more zombies are coming up. And Peter doesn't shoot anybody at this point. Like, he's already shot Steven, and he doesn't shoot anybody else. And
Yeah, he's got this little Derringer pistol, and he's kind of waiting in the room until they get too close.
mm-hmm.
So things happen. And by the way, the zombies are also climbing the ladder to the roof, which is...
Oh, yeah, that's what I put here.
Zombies are good.
Yeah.
So we think Peter's going to shoot himself.
He puts the gun to his head.
Yeah, he puts the gun to his head, but then it's like, nah, you know what? Fuck this. And I love this part because you're like, yeah. Peter ain't dying. Fuck
Right.
that shit. So he ends up shooting one of the zombies, and he fights his fucking way out of there.
Yeah.
Which,
and-
this is that music I was telling you about. That's stock music, but I don't know. I love it because it's like da-da-da-da-da. So it turns into an episode of SWAT as Peter's fighting his way to the roof. And so Peter gets to the roof, and luckily, Francine hasn't taken off immediately.
Right.
She kind of gives him, I think she did that on purpose just to see.
or she was just trying to start the helicopter and stuff.
I don't know. But
She's never flown it before.
right. But luckily she does that because then Peter is able to jump on the helicopter so they can leave.
Because he's a fucking badass and
I
can
know.
pull
'Cause
himself
that's
up
what I said.
to a
Peter gets
helicopter.
all the fucking cool ass lines, all the fucking cool ass jobs. It's Peter's the badass of the group. And he even gets the most badass, most iconic line of this entire series because earlier in the mall, during that whole giant ass shopping spree they had where they were playing video games and stuff, they're kind of on a balcony looking at the zombies beating at the doors and stuff like that. And he tells them about how one of his relatives was a shaman or something. Well, anyway, he says what one of his like great something would tell him some kind of saying. And the line is, when there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. And that's just
Oh, yeah, that's
sticks
pretty
with you.
badass.
That's like the most badass line. It returns later in the remake, which they did remake this, I believe, in 2004, which honestly, out of all the horror remakes I've ever seen, that one probably is the best because it's a different movie. It's not this.
Right.
So it's nice. It's just a different zombie movie, but it's good. It was directed by Zack Snyder and written by James Gunn. But yeah, it even returns in that, and they even have Ken Foree on the TV saying I think he's a preacher in that one, but he's on the TV and he makes a little cameo and says this line.
Oh, that's cool.
So this line is huge. But yeah, so Peter's a fucking badass. He gets on this fucking helicopter and they fly off into uncertainty.
Right. And he asks her, how much fuel do we have left?
Right.
She says, not much. And he says, all right.
All right. And I like that ending.
Yeah.
I love that ending because then we cut to credits and we get that. So yeah, I love the cut to credits. We don't have, it's ambiguous enough to where, did they survive? Did they not?
Right.
Maybe nobody's meant to survive in this kind of stuff. But so going into this movie, what'd you think?
Going into it?
Yeah, what was your first impressions?
Well, when I first saw the zombies, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a little ridiculous. But as we got into it, I was like, oh, I really like this. It's kind of funny. It's kind of sweet, deep in some parts. And, you know, your classic zombie movie.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, like I said, it's nice to look at this and realize where we came from in the zombie subgenre because zombies are fucking huge.
Yes.
They've always been huge. I mean, sure, they lapse a little, but then they come back. Like, fuck, I think before Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, like, zombies weren't really a thing. So really, George A. Romero invented it all over again here. He invented the tropes. He came up with so much stuff. That's why I consider this the most important out of all of it. Because if you're just getting into horror movies, sure, definitely go watch Night of the Living Dead first. That's fine. But I feel like see Dawn of the Dead if you're going to see anything. Even if you don't care for zombie movies, see Dawn of the Dead because you get to see all these tropes that this subgenre has carried on through the years into where we are now with Zombieland, with The Walking Dead, with, like I said, Shaun of the Dead. Every zombie movie takes a page from George A. Romero's book.
Except for Warm Bodies.
Warm Bodies can suck my cock. I can shuck it long and shuck it hard. But I hate that movie. You know what? We're going to review that movie just so I can hate on it for like an hour and a half. Is everybody cool with that?
No.
Nobody's cool with that.
No.
I don't even know if people are cool with me talking about movies I love. But yeah, it's just, it's nice. And it comes from a genuinely good guy. George A. Romero reportedly was so fun to work with on movies because you hear about, oftentimes you see movies like this that are like groundbreaking and amazing. And then you hear, well, the director was a fucking dickhead. Like, I keep talking about him, but Stanley Kubrick and The Shining. You watch The Shining, and even though it barely has anything to do with the book, you watch The Shining, and it's such a fucking masterpiece that it's like crazy when you find out what had to happen to get it there. I mean, Stanley Kubrick tortured Shelley Duvall.
Oh, really?
It's fucked up. Yeah. So oftentimes you see these amazing movies, and then you hear their creators are fucking assholes. But with this, it's different. George Romero was an all-around nice guy. He was a pleasure to work with. Everybody had such a great time. And he even, in a documentary I once watched, he even said that. He was like, well, y'all got to get along with each other if we're working from like 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Right.
I mean, we got to get along.
And if you're working that close with somebody, I think all movies where people or TV shows or whatever are working together long periods of time and stuff like that, you should get along.
Right.
I mean, I feel like it makes the movie better.
Right.
In a sense.
Right. And like I said, this movie affected so much in our culture that it's not even funny. Like, this movie is important. Again, like, a lot of people say this movie's lame and shit like that. Well, not a lot of people. I'm sorry. Certain people would probably hate on this movie, but it has so much social commentary that's relevant to today that I think it makes it timeless.
I think so too. It really, I could see now watching this, where everybody got their stuff from.
Right. Because like I said, you're kind of working backwards here, which is kind of funny.
Right. Which is weird, right?
Yeah.
But I kind of like it like that.
Yeah.
Because it made the things that I saw before more unique to me, you know. I thought, they're the first ones that did this.
Right. And it's great to see a low budget actually pay off in the end, because they pulled all that together and made this.
And it didn't even seem that low budget to me.
It doesn't. That's what's great also about his editing process. Romero is a genius. He takes stuff like this and makes it good. I mean, this is just a simple zombie movie, cut and dry. I mean, well, not cut and dry. He invented it, but you know what I mean? Like, it's a simple premise.
Right.
But he made it into this epic. And like I said, it's still relevant to today. It's sure, its effects are aged a little bit, but not that much. And I mean,
bad.
The effects alone, you got to appreciate, because the work they had to put in. I mean, Tom Savini, I think he had like 8 people working with him who had to apply makeup to like 200 extras.
Oh my God.
To make all these zombies. So you got to like the work. Because nowadays we just kind of slap some computer effects on it.
Right. And you only have 10 people in a crowd that turns into like 100.
Yeah.
Because of special effects and stuff like that. And they actually needed that many people.
Right.
Oh, man. It's crazy how things have advanced.
But yeah. So yeah, Romero kind of makes couple cameos. He pops up as, like I said, the director in the television studio, and then the Santa Claus biker during the raid. He's kind of hard to see, but he's there. But
oh, I did see him.
Yeah. But yeah. So that's Dawn of the Dead, 1978. It's amazing. Well, like I said, you can appreciate the low budget of it. That doesn't age that bad. Just honestly, go see. If you want to know a lot more about this movie, there's several books written. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Go look books up. Go look up Document of the Dead. That's an amazing one because over 27 years they made that because they started as a film class project and stuff and worked their way through the years with George Romero. And so you can go see that and see how much work people put to see how people were paid in dollars and donuts and Dawn of the Dead t-shirts.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing. The story of George A. Romero is an awesome one.
Are you going to keep sucking his dick?
I am.
Okay.
Because we did lose George a few years back, I think 2017. So it's sad, but he left us with a huge amount of work. And I'm thankful for that because, like I said, if I want a good zombie movie, I'm not going to go watch it on TV. I'm going to go watch it on whatever DVD I own. Well, with that being said, we're stepping away from the deepness of Dawn of the Dead, Suspiria, and we're going to have a good time next week.
Are we?
We are.
Is it going to be cocaine fueled?
It's going to be insanely cocaine fueled. Yep, we're talking about the drug-addled, amazing epic that is Maximum Overdrive. That's right. The first and last time Stephen King got behind the director's chair for one of his projects, nonetheless. Starring Emilio Estevez, Pat Hingle, a couple other people I'll point out. The voice of Lisa Simpson. Anyway, but the fucking soundtrack's by AC/DC. So the entire movie, basically, we're going to be high and listening to AC/DC and looking at an incredibly baked Emilio Estevez. His eyes are bloodshot the entire movie.
Fuck yeah.
But so
I need something like this because I'm going to be recovering from a surgery.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I need something cocaine fueled and exciting.
Well, we're going to get it. So until next week when we're battling killer trucks from God knows where, I'm Lee saying stay spooky.
And I'm Brittany. Stay horrific.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Got this by the ass. Well, thanks for listening, folks. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review if you like what you hear on wherever you listen to fine podcasts. And be sure to hit us up on social media at InHorrorFile. That's capital N, capital H, Horrorfile. On Twitter and over on Facebook. You can find our Facebook page. And we're also on Instagram. And for those of you who dwell upon YouTube, you can also find us there. Also, be sure to hit us up on our website at nightofthehorrorfile.com. That's nightofthehorrorfile.com. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.